People often describe the experience in simple terms. They say their breathing feels lighter, not necessarily faster, not dramatically different, just lighter. And while that phrase sounds vague, it points to something many people recognize immediately when they experience it. Because breathing is one of those functions we rarely notice when everything is working well. Most of the time, it happens quietly in the background. But when something changes, we notice. People begin describing sensations like chest heaviness, occasional congestion, or feeling as though they can't quite take a satisfying deep breath. They may not struggle with every breath, but something simply feels different. And over time, that subtle feeling can affect energy, concentration, and even confidence during everyday activities. Naturally, many people assume that breathing discomfort must be caused by one single issue. But the respiratory system is much more complex than that. Every breath depends on multiple processes happening simultaneously. Airways need to remain clear. Mucus must be managed efficiently. Inflammatory responses need to stay balanced. Histamine reactions influence how the body responds to seasonal changes and environmental triggers. And circulation plays a major role in delivering oxygen throughout the lungs and into the body. When these systems work together effectively, breathing often feels effortless. And that effortless feeling is what many people describe as feeling lighter. Imagine walking around while carrying a backpack filled with books. At first, you adapt to the weight. After a while, it almost feels normal. But the moment you take that backpack off, you suddenly realize how much extra effort you had been using all along. Breathing can work in a similar way. People sometimes adapt to mild congestion, occasional chest heaviness, or reduced airflow without realizing how much those small burdens affect daily life. Then, when the respiratory system functions more efficiently, the difference isn't necessarily dramatic. It simply feels easier. The real issue isn't that people are searching for stronger breaths. It's that they are often seeking less resistance. And that distinction changes everything. Because easier breathing isn't always about forcing more air into the lungs. It's about supporting the natural processes that allow the body to do what it was designed to do. Researchers and formulators often focus on several pathways involved in respiratory wellness for this reason. Natural mucus clearance helps maintain open airways. Balanced inflammatory responses contribute to bronchial comfort. Healthy circulation supports oxygen delivery. And maintaining healthy histamine responses becomes especially important during seasonal changes. This broader perspective helps explain why certain plant compounds continue attracting scientific interest. Mullein has traditionally been associated with supporting natural mucus clearance. Bromelain has been studied for its role in balanced inflammatory responses. Maritime pine bark has been investigated for antioxidant activity and healthy circulation. Tiger milk mushroom has generated interest because of its relationship with long-term respiratory vitality. Quercetin has been researched for supporting healthy histamine responses. And stinging nettle has been associated with maintaining clear upper respiratory passages. These ingredients are not typically discussed because they promise dramatic changes. Instead, they are studied because they support different mechanisms involved in comfortable breathing. From a practical perspective, this means that many people who say their breathing feels lighter may simply be experiencing less resistance inside the system itself. Less congestion, better airflow, improved oxygen movement, greater respiratory comfort. And sometimes, those small improvements influence much more than breathing. People often report feeling more energetic. They become more comfortable during walks. Daily tasks feel less exhausting. And activities they once avoided begin to feel manageable again. Not because they suddenly gained extraordinary lung capacity, but because the body no longer has to work as hard. Understanding that difference creates a much healthier perspective. Because breathing isn't something we should constantly have to think about. In many ways, the best breathing is the kind we barely notice. If you'd like a structured breakdown of the ingredients and mechanisms commonly associated with respiratory wellness, you'll find a practical guide in the description below. And if you enjoy educational videos that focus on understanding health rather than chasing exaggerated claims, consider subscribing. Because sometimes feeling better doesn't mean something dramatic happened. Sometimes it simply means the body is working with less resistance.